Chapter 4. Harlem Nocturnes. Inside the 5 spot, I greeted the club's assistant manager, slipped him a contribution for a good ringside table, and then sat down at the dispensary. The joint's bartender remembered me and asked, "What will it be, Francis?" "Old Granddad on the rocks, Tom," I answered. After ordering, we chewed the fat until Tommy drifted off. Linesky-like, I unfolded a Sergeant Rock comic and caught up on the platoon's adventures. Happily surprised that month's issues centered on the ice cream soldier, I dived in feet first, ignoring the babble and din around me. I will give you the drift of what passed for sparkling conversation at this longitude and latitude. A double this time, your singles keep leaking. Or, what about Mary? Another long-lost barfly confided to his darkened glass. Nah, she was middling for steak but fine for cream, before adding snidely, "Lenny Bruce died for your sins, baby," followed by, "It must have been tough on your mother not having any children." Later, I was gone, deep into a particular well-known panel of merit until some inconsiderate boob asked, "Excuse me?" It was a woman's voice, soft-spoken and pleasant, though not enough at the time for a look-see. "Pass the peanuts, please," she asked again. Without glancing up from page 12, panel 3, I muttered for convention's sake, though my heart wasn't in it. Sure thing. Wasn't no skin of my back, pushing the feed bag her way. Dinner over, this Jane asked what I was reading. "Isn't The Economist." "A highbrow, eh?" Chastised by her lisp. I rolled over, always a sucker for women with a slight speech impediment and fading comic, and snuck a quick gander. Dame was a real chicken dinner, young but not soft. Her dark eyes reflected several years of fast living dancing the Manhattan two-step, maybe with a little hustling on the side. Noticing my forensic appraisal, Miss Peanuts put up a bold for sale sign if I was buying great. If not, too bad, chump. So, with nothing to lose, I swung sideways on my stool and introduced myself. "I'm Francis, by the way. Nice to meet you," while automatically extending my hand for a shake. We gripped hands, shaking like boxers before a match as she introduced herself. "Glad to meet you, Francis. I'm Vicky." Vicky, but no last name. Afterward, we cracked the expected tired lines. Possibly Mark Antony's when he met that Egyptian, Dame whatever her name was. "What's a shape and a drape like you doing in a joint like this?" I asked. "Just got off work. I wanted a few drinks to relax, then maybe catch Mingus." Friend, while I eagerly survived the no-man's land between us, her eyes equally appraised me. "You a cop?" I almost cracked a smile. I was asked that tired line at least 5 times a day. "No, private detective." "Gee, you some kind of Philip Marlowe?" Also, I caught this exact same response so often that I already had a comeback chambered and ready. Probably resemble Mike Hammer more than them highbrow lads. "I bet you tell that to all of the ladies," she added, tickled to the gills, or so played prior to her scooting over. Well, before you knew it, Vicky was close as it got in public, and I used Tommy like an ammo carrier to ferry us a constant stream of bug juice as we hashed out the usual spiel. Vicky worked in real estate in Midtown. Bored and lonely, she cruised for fun and diversion. Reading her easily as text on pulp paper, I figured she was game for almost anything. Therefore, I propositioned her, asking if she would join me at my table to catch the show. She readily agreed. So, I sat back and let events take their course until everything got a little dicey when that joint cigarette girl, Tick, sashayed over to say hello. Taking care of business, she flashed as much meat as a butcher's window. Watching this floor show, Vicky stiffened on her stool. "Oh, men," her grimace said plainly as day. "Primordial Moors and all of that, but what the hey? I was just goofing with Tick." The girl ran with the Westies, a group I have had more than my share of trouble with. So despite my eyes buying, there wasn't any sale that night. After Mingus and his band waved their magical musical wands around the small stage for half an hour, we relaxed, palsy-walsies again as she stared into my blues, likewise yours truly, into her gray-eyed slows, hearing the music of Ptolemy's crystal spheres. Vicky liked the show, or at least played it that way, and I was just as happy as a pig in shit with Mingus and his band's performance. It was just a matter of another cocktail or so I had thought. That was before 2 shadows pulled out chairs at our table and sat down. Uninvited, demanding, hard-faced, after the 5 spot. Due to traffic, my taxi swung west past the new Metropolitan Opera House, across from this modern monstrosity. Some time ago, I did a do or die on top of the Hotel Empire's giant mark, and I was damn lucky I didn't buy the farm up there. Exhausted, by too little or too much bourbon. I closed my eyes and used an old frontline trick to clear my head. From an open window, a night owl played 007 by Desmond Decker. Harlem on a Saturday night. Friend, if you have never caught this act, I pity you. At 125th Street, I asked my driver to pull over at my old stomping grounds, St. Nicholas Street, Not So Sweet Sugar Hill, Edgecombe Bells, Small's Paradise Club, Lucky's and other joints, plush or plain, some gone, others changed in that inexplicable way, watching and from hunger, a cold snap on a junket from Kansas City, a typical out-of-towner, after taking in the sights, feeling cheated and unwelcomed, blew away unloved and puzzled. Cold, I pulled my trench coat tighter, and then walked away from the cab and down the street. Up ahead, one cat had a fancy buttered popcorn cart. I was hungry, so I bought one hot, greasy bag and ate it all. There were a lot more temptations to seduce a starving, footsore private dick burdened with a growing itch for conspicuous consumption. Red Hots bathed in mustard, Kansas City chili, fried okra wrapped in newspaper cones, Big Easy drip coffee, Johnny cakes, chitlins, hog maws and Carolina seasonings, frosted donuts, plastic children's toys, dictionaries sold by blind men alongside 3-card Monte games played on top of TV dinner trays or garbage cans. Though cool, the night's air sizzled and smoked. It was scented with Cuban candles, long, slender cigarettes and reefer smoke, so thick you could cut it with a knife. Downwind, mothballed, zoot-suited, ball-gowned Minton's Playhouse hustling ghosts cut the rug and rolled the ivories. A constant liberating motion like preening June bugs, fronting seemingly endless jazz and blues joints, lottery and bingo parlors, five and dimes, all backdrops for miscellaneous misdemeanors and felony collars fringed by pints of night train, Irish rose, littering the streets with blue, green, and white shards of good times never to return. Young brother, 14 or 15, black jeans, keds, corn-rolled hair, blue-eyed, black as jet. He frowned in concentration as he arced a glass-caged toy crane over a stuffed bear for his sweetheart. She was a real heartbreaker, thin as a parking meter Madonna. Byzantine-eyed. She had on a boy's t-shirt and her arms were wrapped around his shoulder like a boxer's second in his corner. I wished them well. Then watched 2 West Indian cooks pulling a reluctant nanny goat into the back door of a curry takeout joint choreographed by the last refrain of that old Johnny Hartman and Coltrane standard, "They Say It's Wonderful." A block down, an old madam enthroned on a red plush and chrome stool in front of another grease and gin joint spotted me, then flashed a come-on and little fly glance that I wagered was apprenticed in Milton Playhouses. I tipped my hat, smiled, promising silently another time baby while serenaded by the Viscount's take on Harlem Nocturne from a Hawkshop radio in a 40-watt display window, opened late to catch hardscrabble dollars earned by working stiffs, easy riders, and backdoor men. Out of nowhere, a swerving truck took a swipe at me, and I froze, after the truck missed me by an inch. An old lady helped me brush off my trench coat before grabbing my elbow and warning me, "Watch out up here, white man." I thanked her. I then crouched 6'4" and kept my eyes peeled for trouble. It was the witching hour, and frankly, drinks and long nights bummed me, Dad. So, I asked Hamlet-like, should I go through with this charade? I was hungry for clients. But not that hungry, was I? I demanded. Honestly, it was solely an old childhood friend's appeal that sent me up the escalator. Hence here,